Hi everyone. I wanted to show you today a little thing I do a couple times a week to help me formulate some content that I provide. And I'm going to use doing a post on my Substack for American Boot Room to help explain this. And how I use ChatGPT to help formulate the idea, to help organize my thoughts for what I'm going to write. Now, in my 9-to-5 job, I work at Newsday on Long Island. That's about an hour train ride, maybe a little more if you count the subway. And I have to go there 3 days a week. There is a stop that gets me 2.5 miles away from my office on the Long Island Railroad. And sometimes I take a car from there, I get an Uber or a Lyft, but most often, if the weather is cooperating, I will walk the 2.5 miles to get there. And while I'm walking, I like to talk to ChatGPT to help to kind of play out my idea. And so I'm going to show you how I do that, all right? And this is my ChatGPT for American Boot Room. It knows me a bit. It helps me with social media ideas, with headline ideas, but it also helps me with content. While I'm on the train ride out there, I will formulate an idea, maybe do a little research that I'm going to plug into ChatGPT to help me with this thought. But while I'm walking those 2.5 miles, I will talk to ChatGPT for a portion of that walk, and it'll help me with my content and help me formulate that content, mostly for my Substack posts. Now, there's one idea that I've been wanting to write for a couple of months now, and it kind of plays off of a post I did a few weeks ago on when people were just throwing out the fact that, hey, I don't even think the U.S. would even qualify for the 2026 World Cup the way they're playing right now, the way they look on the field. And I thought, that's ridiculous. In the old 32-team format, I could see you making that argument. But now, next summer, we have 48 teams. And if the U.S. had to qualify instead of getting an automatic bid because we're one of the host countries, the U.S. would qualify. The CONCACAF gets 6 countries automatically qualify, and then 2 more teams get a chance to play for a playoff spot. So if the U.S., it's ridiculous to think the U.S. can't qualify under those circumstances. The U.S. is one of the 3 or 4 best teams in CONCACAF. So now, another idea or another thing that I see a lot of U.S. fans and sometimes pundits say, like, oh, we're going to get grouped. We look so bad. Even though we automatically qualified, we're going to get grouped. And I think it's such a throwaway line and such a hot take that I wanted to explore how that just doesn't add up. All right, especially in this 48-team format. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to ChatGPT on my walk. Let's just imagine we are walking to my offices at Newsday, and this is my time to get my steps in, get a little exercise, clear my head, have some time for myself, and to think about my content. And so I will dictate some things to ChatGPT to help do this. So, and I'll allow that. All right. Hi, ChatGPT. I would like you to help me formulate a post for Substack. Help me organize my thoughts on an idea I have. Can you help me? So now ChatGPT will transcribe that, and I will send it to him. On your phone when you're doing this, it's a little easier. Absolutely happy to see here. It says, before we dive in, what stage are you at with the idea? See, Chat knows me. already, and I got to remember to say to ChatGPT about what this is for. Even though this is my American Boot Room ChatGPT, I don't have a pro version. This is just a free version of ChatGPT, so I am not. I don't have some of the tools that I could help customize it so that it understands those things. I don't have the agent prepared yet. This is something I'll do in the future, but this is what I just do off the cuff. So this post is for my American Boot Room Substack. I want to dispel the hot take that the U.S. is going to get grouped at the 2026 World Cup, and these are the reasons why. One, the format has changed. It is no longer 32 teams in 8 groups, and the top 2 teams in each group get to the knockout stage. We now have 48 teams in 12 groups of 4. Now, not only do the top 2 teams in each of those groups qualify, but also the next 8 best third-place teams qualify. So that means 32 of the 48 teams qualify. So I'll stop there because I don't want to give ChatGPT too many things that I'm in essence typing in. It's transcribing this. See here, it transcribes what I just said. And then great, this is a strong starting point, and the topic is timely and very much in your American Boot Room wheelhouse. Before we expand, I'll reflect back on what you said and then propose a structure to build around it. Your core argument so far, many fans are saying the USMNT will get grouped at the 2026 World Cup, but that take ignores a major reality. It's much easier to advance from the group stage now. Key fact you've identified, 2022 form. Look at this. I mean, ChatGPT knows my thoughts on some of the things that I post on American Boot Room. So it also takes from that. And so now we have 60. So right away, it's calculating for me. Before, only 50% of the teams would qualify out of the group stage. Now 66%. Top 2 from each group. So historically, finishing third means you're going home, but now a third place finish will often advance. This is really good. Before I suggest a full outline, I want to confirm your intended tone for this speech. Which of these styles are you aiming for? Thanks, ChatGPT. So you've given me 4 options. I like a mixture of B, C, and D for this post. Now here are some things to consider in the post. 1, by automatically qualifying, the U.S. is considered a Pod 1 team. Who else is in Pod 1? Well, in Pod 1 is also the other co-hosts, Canada and Mexico. So that's 3 of the teams in Pod 1. They're the number 1 seeds, in essence. So that means that the other 9 teams in Pod 1 for the number 1 seed in each group are based on world ranking. That means since Canada, Mexico, and the United States are not, here we are, I'll show you where they are in the rankings. Mexico is 14, US is 16, and Canada is 28 right now in the world. So that means since neither of them are in the top 12 or in the top 10, that means the top 9 teams ranked in the world will be in Pod 1 with the US, Canada, and Mexico. And that means that the US will not play the top 9 teams in the world. Who are the top 9 teams in the world? Let's take a look. The European champion, Spain. The defending World Cup champion, Argentina. The World Cup champion from 2 years ago, France. England, which is the only team from UEFA that has qualified so far. Portugal, just won the Nations League in UEFA. The Netherlands, the team that knocked us out of the World Cup in 2022. Brazil, Belgium, and Italy. Now, Germany or Croatia or Morocco or Colombia are right behind, and by the time we get to next summer, one or more of these teams could be in the top 9. So But right off the bat, we are not playing the 9 best teams: Spain, Argentina, France, England, Portugal, Netherlands, Brazil, Belgium, and Italy. This helps our chances. Now, if you want to take these are the teams that have these are the countries that have qualified so far. We still have 20 spots left, and most of those spots are in UEFA because only England is the only one of the 16 qualifiers so far from UEFA. That means in the next international windows, we're going to see more European teams qualify. And right now, these are the countries that are qualified. So you would say, well, all right, so who else would the U.S. have to play in the World Cup? And so the highest ranked teams, so in essence, if we were basing it on this World Cup, the most current World Cup ranking, the U.S. could end up with somebody, they have a 1 in 12 chance of getting Germany, Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, Uruguay, Switzerland, Senegal, Japan. So we're looking for 12 teams here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Denmark, Iran, Korea Republic, and Ecuador, Australia. So one of those, or Australia. So those are the teams that would be the next highest ranked team coming out of the Pod 2, because Pod 2 would be the next 12 high ranked teams in the world that have qualified. And then same thing, Pod 3 is the next 12 ranked teams. So if all the top 48 teams in the world qualified for the World Cup, then you would have the top 9 teams plus Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Then you'd have 10 through 24 minus Canada, Mexico, and the United States in Pod 2. Pod 3 would be 25 through 36, and Pod 4 would be 37 through 48. That is not how this works, because teams that are ranked lower than 48 have already qualified for the World Cup and will continue to do so. So right now, this is these are the countries that have qualified thus far. You've got your 3 teams, the Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. are the host countries, and of the top 9 teams so far, only Argentina, Brazil, and England have qualified. But here, if you look, there are a number of teams already qualified who are well outside the top 48. You have Jordan at 66, Qatar 52, Saudi Arabia 58, Uzbekistan 55, Cabo Verde 71, Ghana 73, South Africa 59, and New Zealand 85. And we will have more teams that are lower than 48 in pods 3 and 4. So now the US, that is where we're at, and as far as what the US is up against. So I've given ChatGPT a lot here to first transcribe, as you can see. This is going to be a lot. I probably should have. Normally, I try to do these in like 2 or 3 minute bursts when I'm walking. I'll do these. I have my AirPods in, and I'll be saying these things out loud and trying to organize this. And once I put these down into ChatGPT, and helps me organize some things. So now, all right, so finally transcribe those things. It's a pretty good job. What did it take, like 30 seconds to transcribe? Maybe a little more. This is excellent raw material. You've got the ammunition for a myth-busting, optimistic, slightly spicy post. The key now is to simplify, shape, and deliver it in a way that casual fans can digest without overwhelming them with ranking math. This is perfect. Thank you, ChatGPT, for helping me think this. Let me reflect back on the core points you just laid out in a cleaner, structured form. This is exactly what I want ChatGPT to do for me. I'm doing thoughts off the top of my head. Some of them are informed by what you just heard me say. So we've got the key arguments. The format change makes advancing much easier. which we've already discussed. Eighth or bottom line, the bar for getting grouped is significantly lower. So the U.S. is a pot 1 seed without being a top 9 team. So then it goes, that takes 3 of the pot 1 spots, regardless of ranking. The other 9 spots go to the highest ranked qualifiers. Yes, so it's taking what I've told ChatGPT and laying it out in a... Now, one thing ChatGPT does is, I have told ChatGPT I like to see my things in a smart brevity format oftentimes. Please put it that way because it's easier for me to read and scan, and then when I'm going to write, it's easier to play out that way. If you don't know what smart brevity is, I look it up. Smart brevity is Axios's formatting, and you should follow it because it is amazing, because it's formulated out of how to use study. They studied how people read things online and on their phones, and that is how it's formatted for best reading capability. Anyway, so who they avoid, it gets the mean tells avoids the top 9 teams. These are the top 9 teams. You have some, look at that. What I said about Germany, Croatia, Morocco could happen. Translation for the post, you can't get grouped by the Giants if you don't draw the Giants. Pot 2 isn't a nightmare. This is where the likely toughest opponent would come from. And yes, there's a 1 in 12 chance that if Germany's the 10th ranked team in the World Cup, that they could be in the U.S. group. And that's not what you want to... They hear Germany and panic, but see, look at this. Nice little argument here. And then pot 3 and 4 will be weaker than ever because many teams outside the top 48 have already... Look, it's organizing my thoughts the way I want. The U.S. will likely face at least 1, maybe 2 opponents weaker than them on paper. Matter of is lazy, outdated, and ignores basic math. But you can still balance it with, is advanced guaranteed? No, but the realistic path. And then proposed structure for your post. Title idea, no, the U.S. isn't getting grouped. Yeah, great, that's awesome. Subhead, this is great. And I rarely, if ever, take a ChatGPT headline completely. What I do is I take the idea and I kind of use it. I kind of customize it for myself usually. But same thing with social media posts. I rarely, if ever, use it word for word. One, because I want it in my voice as best as possible. I don't want it in AI, completely AI formulated. So intro, call it, I keep seeing the take. Yeah, new format, much easier to advance. U.S. is pot 1. Realistic U.S. group could look like. This is great. Look at that. It's already given me, it said, this is what a realistic U.S. group could look like. Now, there are, what I love is, like, I go into the Reddit, the USMNT or World Cup Reddit forums, and there are people that have made these World Cup draw generators based on who's qualified and who could still qualify. And I love that. I love that people are that creative and that inventive and imaginative. And I've played around with some of them. I guess we could run simulations every time, and this is, I could run 100,000 simulations through those simulators for the draw, and that's what we get. But so what a realistic group would look like. You could end up with Austria, Qatar, and New Zealand. So the average is now, yes, here would be the average group. Like U.S. would get Switzerland, Morocco, and Jordan. So Switzerland beat the pants off the U.S. and it was mostly a Switzerland A team that beat the U.S. 4-0 over the summer before the group in the friendly before the Gold Cup. That was mostly a U.S. B-C side in that game. So let's not get too crazy about saying, "Oh my God, it's Switzerland." We are going to have a better squad when we play the Switzerland A team. It's not guaranteed win, but is it a potential draw? Yeah. So a couple of sort of, so it gives me some ideas of like some final reality check, closing a sort. This is great. See, I'm not. So these are pretty funny here. People are misunderstanding this. This is I think definitely it's a lazy narrative. Hot takes often are lazy, and that's what makes them hot takes. So I'm gonna say a few things here. Hey, ChatGPT, let's add a couple of things here. One, let's kind of keep it at medium with a little bit of extra hot in some of our in my takes and how my pushback on the doom take is. Also, let's say that what is it going to take to get out of the group? You know, the U.S. needed, in the 32 team format, where 16 teams got out of the 8 groups, the top 2 teams. In our group, we tied Wales, tied England, and had to beat Iran to move on. So, to get the second seed out of the second spot out of the group. You're not going to need 5 points to get out of the group now. One, a win, 3 points, and a draw should get the U.S. no worse than third place and no worse than the top 8 third place teams in the 12 groups. So I think we need to lay that out, that what you need to do in the group is not as daunting. In 1994, there were only 24 teams in the World Cup. There were 6 groups of 4. The U.S. had to do the exact same thing. The U.S. had to either finish in the top 2 or be one of the better third place teams, and they were one of the better third place teams. So that's how they got into the next round. Just to use you an example. So, and they got a win and a draw. They beat Colombia as a very infamous game, and they tied Switzerland and lost to Romania. So, but they qualified with those 4 points. And that's what the U.S. needs to be able to, if you win a game and draw a game, that should almost guarantee you advancement compared to needing maybe 5 points or more in the old format. So let's tell ChatGPT to transcribe this. I know this is really exciting for you. This is what I do. This is how sometimes I take notes. This is how I do notes. Sometimes I just transcribe into ChatGPT and it helps organize my notes. New argument to add. The point total needed to advance is much lower now. You've given 3 strong angles to explain. Look at that. That's great. See, it's giving me some ideas. I'm not going to use all these. I think it helps inform what I might write. But this is giving, before I draft no, I don't want to draft a full piece. Okay, ChatGPT, please help me just format an outline for this. I don't want you to write a full post for me. I will write the post based on with help from the outline and information from the outline. Please, the callback to 1994 is, I like the kind of, that's kind of funny. What they said here, look at this, and the luck of a goal off. I don't want to emphasize the Andres Escobar angle too much, but because that always makes me sad, and I think it's an awful story. But let's. We want to reference it. We don't want to make it like a major point. We want to reference it as supporting why it's easier to get out of the group in this format. And please, again, help me organize this in an outline structure so that I can write a banger of a Substack post. All right, so it transcribed. Like I said, it's better to try to do these in shorter bursts when you're transcribing. I know it, like some people, the old dictaphone or whatever. And this is ChatGPT isn't the only AI engine that you could do this with. You could do it with so many other things, and there are so many AI generator that work doing just this. ChatGPT does a good job with it. I use it. All right. So you want a clear, writer-friendly outline you can draw from. Yes, not a full written post. Here's a structured outline. Great. Retiring the lazy doom take. Yes. Format has changed. Yes. So here are my subheads, right? My intro is retiring the lazy doom take. My format has changed. The format has changed. That's point number 1. Point 2 is that we're in the pot 1, so we're not in the we're not going to have to face the top 9 teams in the tournament. And then kind of let's see, like, you know, I may entertain doing some simulations in the generators that I've seen out there on what it could look like. I mean, obviously the problem is you're just guessing who the 20 teams. I mean, I think the majority of the European teams, you can see where they are in qualifying right now and know who's probably getting through. And then when it takes an advance, yes, it just takes that point that you don't need to. And then, okay, this is a good organization. Pots 3 and 4, the weakness there. Yes, and this is a possibility, like, to support. All right, so these are my points: closing time, time to retire. And then I like this idea: provide a condensed clean sheet version. Yes, please provide a condensed clean cheat sheet version of this outline for my writing mode that I can start working from. And also, I want to, on the point number 7, another little callback is the only way the U.S. gets grouped is if they face plant. Well, when I think of this, I think about the 2002 World Cup when defending champion France had maybe the best team again on paper, and France totally just screwed the pooch and were easily grouped. So because they didn't get a good result at all, and they failed to qualify out of the group. So I think it's possible. The U.S. could still get grouped. Yes, they could get like Germany and Switzerland, or, you know, a combination of those. That you can get Germany and a tough South American club. There's ways they could get grouped, and if their form is bad, if if the wrong players are injured, things like that. So, but I think a little callback to 2002 France helps support point number 7. So here again, it'll transcribe for me, and this is great. Now you got to remember, in the free version of ChatGPT, which is what I'm using here, you only can do so much of this. You have to watch out. It's probably better to you, and I should be paying for a better version of it. So here we go. And here's my thing about, look at that. Give me the points to draw on. Boom, 1994 callback. France 2002 call. Okay. This is great. I love it. And I think this is good for my, no. Look at this. It's asking for, do I want, no, ChatGPT, I don't want headline suggestions just yet. I may come back to you for that a little later. I thank you so much for this outline. It's very helpful, and it's going to get me started on writing my post. I send it to Chat. Perfect. I'm glad. When you're ready, I can give you a little help, give me some social media promo posts tailored by platform, and it knows my tone. And so, and there you go. Now what I'll do is I'll just copy this, and maybe I will do a new I always like to type my stuff in Grammarly, not necessarily, and then audience to be knowledgeable, format, and yeah. But here it gets me started. So there we go. Now I'm going to start writing my post, and you'll be able to see it. But you'll see how I help formulate my idea. This is kind of, and then this is one of the ways I use AI to help my content. I don't want it to write my content, but I want it to help inform my content. because I still am a writer, and I value what I put out to my audience, and I want them to know that I wrote that. But this is a great start for my post. All right. Thanks a lot for listening, and I will talk to you soon. I hope this was helpful. If you are one of those people that are afraid of AI, or are one of the, if you're old school and you say, "Oh God, I would never use AI," well, here, it helps save some time with me. Like if I was going to write this all out, and it helps me make good use of my time when I'm doing that walk to work 3 days a week. This literally, I've come up with a full post while I'm walking to work, or the outline of a post that I'll have, and then when I take my train ride home from work at night, I sit there and I write it out on my phone, or I'll take my laptop out and do it there. But yeah, that's how it works. That's how I use ChatGPT to help with some of my content. All right, thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you soon.